All right, why don't we go ahead and get started? Again, everybody, my name is Mike McGann. Thank you for joining us for today's webcast, JDE Financials, Lessee Accounting and Functionality. My name is Mike McGann. I'm a marketing lead at GSI. I'm also very pleased to welcome our main presenter, Bud Shaw. He's a JDE Solutions Architect here at GSI. First of all, before we get started, I want to give you a chance to review our safe harbor statement. So I'm going to go ahead and pause here and you're welcome to read it. Okay. Now for a quick overview of today's meeting, it's going to last about 60 minutes. First, we'd like to go through take a moment to go over a couple of housekeeping items as well as provide a brief company overview. Then we'll turn it over to Bud to get to our main presentation, and that will last about 40 minutes. We'll have a minute to go over some upcoming educational events, and then we'll wrap up with a 10-minute Q&A session. So if in the next slide here is our housekeeping slide. I think we're all pretty familiar with how Zoom works by now, but just in case, if you'd like to submit a question, you could do so through the Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom console, located on the bottom or top of your screen. Feel free to, you all will be muted during the broadcast, but chat will be open. So that's where you do Q&A or chat. It's different on different machines, but just post your question during the chat and we'll gather all those questions up and answer them at the end of the presentation. Okay, so I think we got that. So who is GSI? GSI is a full service consulting and managed services organization with deep application and industry knowledge. This deep knowledge allows us to develop advanced AI and automation that delivers cutting edge intelligence. This unmatched intelligence is what enables our clients to thrive and not just survive. So why partner with us? Well, we are a full service ERP, SaaS, cloud, ITSM, cybersecurity reseller, consulting, and managed services organization. We have industry application and technical certifications, and we not only understand the business system you are utilizing, but most importantly, the industry. I come from a marketing background, and I work on our HubSpot team, and that's another service offering we have. And I've just been thoroughly impressed, not just with the expertise, but the ability of our guys like Bud to explain the complex and make it simple. It really is a great place to be. And advanced AI and automation are used in all of our products and services to help our clients reduce total cost of ownership and increase ROI. Magical words. We have offices nationwide and partners worldwide, which allows us to offer a 24/7 global support knowledge. And we really are the only partner you'll find in the industry that has 100% guarantee on everything we do. Here's a street cred slide of the presentation. We have received a number of awards, accreditations, and certifications. And you can read some of those now. We definitely were in a number of these new groups. Whoops. Here are some of the products we developed for our clients to thrive, specifically in the JD Edwards environment. The Genius AI is a platform designed to support the development and execution of customized modules for system monitoring, application monitoring, AI, and automation. Modules can be developed and executed for almost any business system. Our clients use Genesis Performance Optimizer to model, measure, and maximize system performance for all their web-based business systems. Genome is our newest product that will detect, analyze, and automate the process converting customizations into orchestrations. Rapid Reconciler is our tool that reconciles perpetual, in transit, and received not vouchered inventory. Rapid Approval is an application for quickly processing workflow approval requests in Salesforce. And G Shield is a line of security products that we are continuing to expand. Currently, we have 2 products, JD Edwards or JDE Password Reset and JDE Two-Factor Authentication. Okay. I don't know why my screen is so fidgety today. So these are what real world clients are saying. As you can see from these testimonials, they attest to the fact that we focus on the business value of their systems, not just the performance. This business value focuses allows our clients to transform their antiquated systems of record into market share expansion machines. So, you know, again, we've got plenty more testimonials. I won't make everybody read that. Of course, now is the moment we've all been waiting for, the amenable Bud Shaw. I really have been impressed with everything, Bud, that you've put together on the a presentation. And you know, the fact that you have 30 years of solutions consulting really shines through in this presentation. So, Bud, I'll go ahead and hand it over to you, and I'll kind of take over when you're done to handle the questions.
All right, thanks.
Yep, let me, you got the screen there? Perfect.
All right, so just once again, I'm Bud Shaw, a solution architect with GSI, and just briefly a bit about me. And I'm going to turn my camera off here soon, so you don't have to be distracted by my handsomeness. But I have spent over 30 years in solution consulting with enterprise resource planning type systems and environments. And I'm now over 22 years working with JD Edwards. So, and I pretty much cover the gamut of all of the JD Edwards application areas. So although we're going to focus in today on Lessee Accounting, which is more of a financial component, you know, I fair game any questions about any areas in JD Edwards. All right, so what we're talking about here today is Lessee Accounting and JD Edwards. You know, basically several years ago, the IASB and FASB boards and IFRS started putting out guidelines that companies were required to report their long-term property and non-property assets on their balance sheets. So JD Edwards did not have functionality to handle that. So they used these guidelines and enhanced the real estate areas in JD Edwards, which is all part of the integrated JD Edwards solution, to meet those requirements. So I think that was about 2018 when this solution started to roll out. So it's been out for a couple of years now, and working. So, you know, what does JD Edwards we're really going to do, you know, what does JD Edwards have to offer? How does it work? A demo of the solution, and then I'm going to give you a little bit of highlights of what needs to be done to set it up, and then open it up for a Q&A bit. So just, you know, as I started to mention, JD Edwards includes use of parts of real estate module, which has the integration to financials and fixed assets, and have enhanced it to deliver you a complete solution for the ASC 842 and IFRS requirements. So you don't need to license any additional software. As long as you have JD Edwards Financials, you get to take advantage of this software. So that's a big plus right there. So let's see the demo. That's what I'm gonna jump into now. So I'm gonna log in as my user here, and you're gonna see one of the first things that we come into is there is a UX1 page. If you're not familiar with UX1, that's the newer user interface paradigm for JD Edwards. So there is one for a Lessee Accounting Manager, which really has alerts, watch lists rather, you know, of new leased assets, amortization schedules that have been generated, commencement journals, asset balances requiring adjustment, leases, you know, so your leases that are expected to expire. In other words, your leases that are, you might need to look at to extend. And then this is just some analytics, leases by likelihood to exercise the option to buy at the end of it. So by different types. So these are just out of the box UX1 page to help you navigate and work within it. And for the purposes of this demo, I'm really going to work right here in this one Springboard application, the Lease Master. So as I go into the Lease Master, let's go through and see. Now I have, most of these are all by the category groupies. I've got a little query that focuses in on these types of leases. And so you've got, I've got a copier and some trucks and vans and, any property or equipment or whatever that you lease is fair game for, lessee accounting. So let's add a new lease into this module and walk through that process. So I'm just going to click on the plus sign. So this is, and this is the out of the box labeling and everything, as I talked about it, is using the standard lessee lease management stuff in JD Edwards in the real estate with the enhancements for lessee accounting. So you might want to rename these using the tools, piece of cake to do, using form personalizations. Tenant really might be, lessor or who you're leasing it from or whatever. But I'm just gonna lease, have a piece of a vehicle from Ford Motor Company, right? So I'm gonna pick them up. In here, we're gonna start using category codes for a lease type, right? So I'm going to call this a finance lease, a lease. The lease can have a status that it's being worked on, getting ready to go in negotiation and moving in. I'm going to say this is a 24-month lease, begins on 11/1/21 and ends on 12/30/23. So now in the bottom half here, now there's some other things we'll tag. We can look at the other page information, but the one that's important to you from lessee accounting, and you'll notice when I change this and I say it's lessee accounting, notice the grid changes to allow me to create the non-property asset. And what this is going to do when we pick this option is create a fixed asset record with no depreciation a schedule associated to it. You don't need the depreciation schedule. This module here will do the amortization and book it depending on the AAI's automatic accounting instructions you've set up. You can just determine this is reasonably certain to exercise the option, and then what borrowing rate that you would use for the finance terms. So down in the bottom here, we're going to create our asset by clicking on the plus sign. We're going to give it an asset description. Let's just call this a delivery van or something like that. And we can default in some other information, but this is really defaults setting on the basics of what you set up for your integration, the application processing options here. So we're going to key it. Now, what I should do while I'm here on the lease info page is give it, and we'll call this a delivery van, right? So easier to identify the overall lease, because the lease itself could be a little bit different than what you're in here. We can default in some dates and stuff, and the system will populate those things for us. And I think the only thing I want to point out here is the lease has a status code on it that is managed by you and the system to control what's going on here. So this one is lease terms in progress. And so you may, depending on how this goes, if you want to set it up, but I can say that, I'm lease terms complete. And once I have the lease terms complete status, I am able to then go ahead and generate an amortization schedule for the lease. Now, before we go here, I'm going to save and continue. So we keep on working on this. And from here, we're going to go and set up the recurring billing. In other words, how much are we going to pay for this lease and what is the billing schedule? There might be generally there's two different types of billing that you may do with these types of leases. First one being just a manual one-time, maybe a setup or deposit or something like that. But then the more common one is the recurring billing charge that you're going to do it. And the beauty of this, one of the beauties of it is that from here, you can create your accounts payable document vouchers to pay for the lease right within the one system. So this is one of the things you'll set up. I'm using just a simple, I call it rent. You can call it whatever you want to call it, but that's a recurring billing code. It's a UDC, which maps to accounting instructions within it. What is the bill type? We're going to just have a billing entry. It could be an accrual. And then in here, we're going to start on the first. Maybe it's a little bit different than what the terms were. Let's just say we're going to do $800 a month. And then what is the term of the bill? How often, right? The bill frequency, we can go with I'm going to go with a monthly bill for 800. You could have quarterly, annually, whatever. So we've gone ahead and set up just how much that recurring billing is going to be. We've gone ahead and created that. Now there's several ways to go at starting to create the amortization schedule and the commencement journals. I can go in here. Let's see, I wanted to go with this guy. We can highlight this and I can say create the amortization schedule. So what this is going to do is start using all of the accounting instructions that you predefined and default into the general ledger buckets and getting ready for your journals to be created. This is just a warning. Remember, I said quite often with a lease of this type, you would have a manual one-time bill for a deposit or whatever. It's just giving you a warning that it doesn't see one, but that's okay. We're gonna go ahead and just go through that because in this particular cases. So this is just telling me the lease amortization has been successfully created. And if we go over now and look at our status code of our lease, you can see that now it went from a 10 to a 20 that the amortization schedules have been created. We can navigate right from here. Well, actually, I think I might have to go back one more. And from here, we'll call up our delivery van and we can review the amortization schedule that was created, right? So this is a whole schedule for the 2 years with the beginning balance, with the depreciation, interest, everything that's going on, depending on the accounting instructions that have been done. The next thing in processing is to actually create the journals then, at least the beginning, the first journal for this month. We can go ahead and create the commencement journals. There's a couple of ways to navigate depending on where you're at. I'm just going to go ahead and create the commencement journals. Right? When are we going to start it? We say, okay. All right. Okay, so now we've gone ahead and created the commencement journals for it. We can review what those journals look like. I'm going to check something. Oh, I had an error on my commencement journal creation. Sorry about that, guys. Wouldn't be a demo if it didn't do something wrong sometimes. All right. Yeah, shoot. I'm doing something wrong in my setup here for my journal creation. Hang on a second. Still getting an error. I must have a program default setup not correct. Well, I'm going to go back up to show you what I just did yesterday and show you what those journals look like. So here is a lease accounting journal entries that were created for this one. So I had the beginning for the lease commencement and then a monthly journal that was created. So the very first one was done. And we can review that journal. So you can see the first thing that happened was a 14,000 lease liability and also then a right of use asset commencement journal that was created. Then on a monthly basis, when you then run the program on an ongoing basis to create the monthly journals, the balance sheet lessee accounting journal creation, it will then create journals that will adjust and create that. What I didn't want to avoid. So you can see what it's done now here is made the lease liability adjustment, the rent expense on this one, which was $600 prepaid rent, and now it's doing an accumulated amortization on the right of use asset, taking it down that the $593 on an amortization monthly basis based on the schedule. So without troubleshooting why I've got some processing option or something set up somewhere that's stopping this lease, this one from getting generated. But that's the basic process that you would go on an ongoing basis. You'll do two things. You'll generate the recurring billing, right? And we can also, like if I take a look at this one, we can go into it and see what the recurring billing amounts have been from it, right? And see all the different billing transactions that have happened for this one. And also then back on, look back at all the journals that are created on an ongoing basis. So this one was one I walked through yesterday. My commencement journals worked correctly and I didn't have a problem with it. So that's the basic process. So there will be a recurring billing that you'll run on an ongoing basis to create the accounts payable vouchers to pay it. And then the monthly billing, this one here, to create the journals. And those are the two processes that you probably put in a scheduler, let them go and forget about them on an ongoing basis. So at this point in time, I'm going to go back and I'm just going to hold out and say, I got to try to troubleshoot what I must have some processing option, a date or something wrong on one of the versions that I'm calling. That's what happened to me once before. But we got to get that, and then that thing will run through. So at that point in time, I'll open it up for question and answers and topics.
We did have one question, and we may have missed it already. What is the P menu you are on currently?
Okay, let me show you here. It's under real estate, and I'll give it to you. Balance sheet, lessee accounting. So what you're asking for is G15201.
G15201. Okay.
Right? That's the, I mean, that's, I guess that's what you mean by P, you know.
P menu. And
the
one, they
program, right.
followed up. Yeah. And they followed up with as if you are fast path moving.
Right,
But
right.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, this guy, the main lessee accounting workbench, if you will, is this is a 1501 program, this guy here.
Okay.
Now there is some setups that you need to do. You need to enable the system. There is about 15 AAIs to be defined. So you'll need your GL accounts to map to those. There's the bill codes that I use are out there, and then just a couple of UDCs for grouping and categorizing your leases. You know, these guys in here primarily. You know, the lease type, the UDC code, right, that you can use for groupings, any category codes that you might want to map. And then like I said, so there's I think it's about 14 AAIs for right of use asset, what account that's going to hit, you know, lease liability, all those kind of things, and your amortization for depreciation, you know, like depreciation, and then the rent codes, if you will, the billing codes for the recurring billing or the manual billing. You was using two here, a manual bill and a recurring bill. So
Okay. When using we had another question. When using create non-property asset, once asset is created, will lease asset be listed in the fixed asset module?
Yeah, they are out in the fixed asset module, but again, they're created out here as a non-depreciated. There's no depreciation associated with it. So if I jump over to this one, let me see what my fixed asset number that this guy created was. I gotta go back up a level. Well, I just can query. I call it a transit or a delivery van.
Henry did ask if the asset number needs to be pre-created, but I don't want
to. Yeah, it is.
Throw you off. Okay.
Yeah, it is. It's creating one and then associate. Now you can already. You don't have to do it the way I did it. You can create the asset yourself and then add it in on the line, right? So we just created a delivery van.
Okay.
And there's my delivery van asset number 16, you know, yada, yada, yada. And you'll notice here, if I look at the asset master, no depreciation method. So it's not getting picked up and depreciated because it's being handled by the lessee module. So.
Okay. Brian asked, is JD Edwards tax called as part of the lease process? I thought a tax explanation code of quote unquote AR was for property management.
In the, it will invoke standard JDE tax, or if you're using, you know, Vertax or one of those add-ons. But yes.
Okay. Okay. That is the extent to our questions. I don't know if anyone had any follow-up. You could post them in the chat. Well, wait a minute. Let me see. I think we've got different Q&As, but okay. I didn't. Okay.
Yeah, I see what I went wrong here. I got some mapping wrong. I got a 26-month lease and a 24 period. You saw this is where I can fix my issue, but
Okay.
And then we'll get our commencement journals to go. But yeah, I'm one of those kind of guys. It works. I just gotta, what did I do wrong? Right. So
Yeah. You want to figure that out in real time.
yeah,
Yeah.
right,
If you
exactly.
can.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So, you know, I
Yeah.
guess the thing that I wanted to point out here is, you know, this is kind of the little summary, right?
Yeah.
The setup, there's some real estate constants that you want to turn on. The lease master is that's the P1501 program, right? And then the Lessee Accounting tab is where the lessee box is checked. You saw that, we turned that on. Borrowing rate is involved. You'll want to set up a couple UDCs in the bill codes, and then approximately 15 AAIs, and then a couple of the UBEs, the batch programs, right, for generating the amortization schedule and the commencement journals. So that's really the meat of it. And we're available, and obviously that's why we're doing this. If you want some help, you know, we can help you do this. You know, we're already helping other customers. I think I saw somebody on the attendee list that I think we're going to be working with very soon on this as well. So yeah, we're happy to help out and get it set up. It's not a terribly big project. So, and yet the value of it, if your financial folks have to report, you know, to the 842 and to the IFRS, you know, rules, they will appreciate the efficiency and the streamlined processes in here. You know?
Okay.
And I think back to you, Mike.
All right.
Sure.
Yes. Okay. Wonderful. Let's go with, okay. Just really, we're pretty much in the, you know, in conclusion, just as, and a little bit of what Bud touched on. We feel free to go to our website again, getgsi.com, and in the JD Edwards area, our weekly educational webcast, monthly newsletter called the GSI Insider or GS Insider. Ongoing debate internally as to how we should call it, what we should call it, but online resource center where you can access our on-demand webcasts, white papers, etc., YouTube, online virtual workshops. I said this in the beginning. You know, if you'd like to sign up for our weekly email reminders, you could do so on our website up in here, or just reach out to me and or reach out in the chat. We will be conducting a hands-on virtual JD Edwards upgrade workshop on July 15th. That's much later though, where we'll learn everything from Oracle's roadmap on JD Edwards to performing hands-on exercises. Lastly, we have a website called check out erptalk.com, which is a problem-solving forum where you can get your JD Edwards and other enterprise application questions answered, as well as your answers to others' questions. And of course, we have social media. We've got we have a lot of resources, basically. So, really, that should take care of everything. So, on behalf of GSI, the JDE team, and everyone at the company, we really appreciate your time today. The video will be shared with everyone, and it will be available. So tell your friends and family where to pick up the latest JDE video. Bud did a really great job, and I thank you, especially Bud, for joining us. Thanks again, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.